Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Yogah Karmasu Kaushalam.
Introduction to Mass Media and Press Release. Hello viewers, I am Dr. Rinki Menon. A business enterprise cannot isolate from the rest of the society. There is an interrelationship and interdependence between the society and an enterprise operating in the society. Goodwill and confidence are necessarily created among the public. It can be done by the communication with the different medias, which has to project the image of the firm in a society. Through an effective external communication system, an enterprise has to inform the society about its goals, activities, progress, and social responsibility. In today's unit, we shall discuss the definition and functions of mass media. Next, we shall focus on the types of mass media. We shall also discuss the functions of mass media, and later an understanding of the news and news values. We shall also take a look at the importance of press release in business communication. Let us take a look at media communication. It includes communication that takes place only with the help of electronic media such as computers, cell phones, LCDs, videos, televisions, etc. Regardless of the type of communication involved, communication remains an ever-continuing process that keeps tickling all the time. It is important to human life as it is our any other day-to-day activity such as breathing, eating or sleeping. Mass media refers to a broad range of media technologies that through mass communication reach a wide audience. A number of channels are included in the technologies by which this correspondence takes place. Through media such as films, radio, recorded music or television, broadcast media transmit information electronically. Both the internet and mobile mass communication are used in digital media. Outdoor media transmits information using such as media as AR ads, billboards, blimps, flying billboards inside and outside of buses, commercial buildings, stores, sports stadiums, subways, cars or trains, signs or skywriting placards or kiosks. Through physical items such as books, comics, magazines, newspapers or pamphlets, print media transmits the information. The organizations that manage these technologies are also known as mass media, such as movie studios, publishing firms, and radio and television stations. So, let us take a look at the definition of mass media. Both the term mass communication and mass media were coined in the early 20th century. And though often used synonymously, the two terms refer to a very different form and phenomenon of communication. Mass communication basically is a process by which message is transmitted or transferred to a large group of people. This process is achieved through such forms of media as television, radio, newspapers, and the internet. On the other hand, mass media is a media that is meant for a group of people. It consists of diverse media technologies which enable messages to reach to a large audience through mass communication. Media technologies can be either electronic or print. Electronic media, also known as broadcast media, comprises of radio, television, films, DVDs and CDs. Broadcast media relays information electronically. Print media comprises of pamphlets, newspapers, leaflets, magazines, brochures, books, etc. It uses a physical object as a means to relay information. The easy accessibility of the internet and the outreach it affords has allowed it to achieve the status of mass media. The internet allows the broadcast of information both cost effectively and simultaneously to all parts of the world. Television, cinema, newspapers, radio, magazines and phonograms were the early forms of mass media. Now, let us take a look at the functions of mass media. Harold Laswell, a prolific communications scholar, suggested that the media perform 4 basic functions for the society: surveying the environment to provide information, correlating response to this information, that is editorial function, entertaining the media users, that is a diverse function, and transmitting the country's cultural heritage to future generation, that is socialization or educational function. In developing country, the mass media are also expected to play an additional role to mobilize public support for national development. Let us go through the various functions of mass media in detail. Information. Mass media disseminate information or news about the happenings in the society. The dissemination of this information takes various forms in different societies. In the traditional societies, folk stories, music, drama and get-togethers of groups for discussions emulated the contemporary mass media as information disseminators as well as platform for interaction. Today, that role has been taken over by the mass media. It is a source of all information regarding local and external matters. Next function is surveillance. As a watchdog of the society, media keeps a close watch on events and issues all around the world. Laswell termed this as the surveillance function. It facilitates our adjustments and adaptations with the world around us. Surveillance function also involves the media's efforts to disclose threats and opportunities affecting the value position of the community. In performing this function, they warn us of unexpected dangers and help us to take precautionary measures as much in advance. The next function is education. The mass media not only informs but also educates. They provide context to the issues being informed. By spreading information about current issues, news, goods and services, mass media plays a key role in forming, shaping and educating the audiences. Buying decisions, forming public opinion are aided by mass media. Mass media have also been used for formal educational programs as well as public service campaigns. George Bernard Shaw described daily newspapers as poor man's university. The mass media not only tells us what happened but also explains the impact as well as importance of the event and the issues reported. They clarify a complex situation by bringing together fragmented facts. They also help us to correlate our response to the imminent challenges and threats. Mass media also helps us to reach at a consensus on important issues. The next function is entertainment. Entertainment refers to the communicative acts intended for amusement. Mass media have high entertainment value. A substantial part of mass media content is designed to amuse, excite, titillate to attract the maximum number of consumers. Various mass medias, including print and electronic, serve as entertaining and recreational platforms. Folk media kept traditional societies more entertained. The evolution of new media technologies took the concept of entertainment of the general public to another level. The next function is socialization. Socialization refers to the process by which an individual develops the skills and habit to participate and settle in his or her socio-cultural environment. Mass media are a strong social force and effective agents of socialization. The media are continually offering pictures of life and models of behavior in advance of actual experiences. Mass medias like newspapers, magazines, comic books, radio, video games, movies, and especially television present a different form of socialization than any other form. The next function is it becomes a link between the government and people. There is a triangular relationship between the government, media, and the people. In fact, Theodore Newcomb's model of communication presented in 1953 represents this relationship very clearly. Newcomb describes communication as a way in which people orient to their environment and to each other. It is based on the concept of balance between one's attitude and beliefs and those that are important to an individual. If the balance is disturbed, communication used to restore it. In Newcomb's model, mass media becomes the mode through which government informs and explains its policies and programs to the public and in turn receives support for the same. Now, let us take a look at the forms of mass media. The print media. Print can be defined as a medium that disseminates writing or textual matter. Printing is defined as a process that involves the use of ink, paper, and a printing press for reproducing text and image. The technology of printing using a printing press allows a large-scale production of the same matter. Printing is a technique that is an integral part of publishing. Printing has covered a long journey starting from wooden block printing that was in practice in China and Korea, much before Johann Gutenberg designed the movable types made of molten metal alloy and a printing press in the mid-15th century. Lots of efforts were made by him to cast the right type of letters, developing the right type of ink that he made from lamp black mixed in an oil varnish and combining together all these important components for the use of printing. His system is considered as the first revolution in printing technology. The second revolution in printing technology came at the end of the 19th century. Two methods of mechanical typesetting were invented that speeded up the process of setting the right type in metal. They were monotype systems and line casting. The third revolution was phototype setting. Finally, desktop publishing, that is DTP, is considered the fourth revolution in printing. The DTP system has brought dramatic changes in the printing industry. Presently, it is a widely accepted system in printing. The next is television. Television has been the most spectacular invention of the 20th century. It has not only made it possible to view the events and happenings of the world instantly, but has also brought the cinema in the form of soap operas and telefilms, and even in its usual form to the drawing rooms of the people. It has become the most accessed media and very powerful tool for forming opinions as well. In 1884, a German scientist, Paul Nipkow, experimented with a rotating disc containing small holes and found that the device can work as a scanner. This disc, known as Nipkow disc, produced patterns of electric impulses required to transmit the pictures. This device became an integral part of the technology of transmitting images. Even today, this scanning concept is a standard component of any television. After Paul Nipkow's technology, it is J.L. Bayard who invented television in 1926. The television industry grew further with the growth of cable television and with the adoption of video cassette recorders. The beginning of the 1970s was the period when video cassette recorders, that is VCR, was adopted all over the world for recording the programs of one's choice from the TV network. It was also a very useful device for editing. The VCRs became more popular for movie viewing. The Russians launched Sputnik, the world's first satellite, on 4th October 1957. A few months later, the United States launched Explorer 1 on 1st January 1958. In 1976, history was created by Home Box Office, that is HBO, by starting satellite delivery of programming to cable networks with the telecast of The Thriller from Manila, a heavyweight boxing match. Satellite system provides clear picture and stereo sound on various channels. Conceptually, satellite system is a wireless system that delivers television programming directly to the viewers. Satellite TV systems transmit and receive radio signals using satellite dishes. These dishes act like antennas. Earlier, the size of the uplink dishes was quite huge, as much as 9 to 12 meters in diameters. Satellites are placed in geosynchronous orbits. They stay in one place in the sky relative to the Earth. Each one is approximately 22,200 miles or 35,000 to 700 kilometers above the Earth. Now, let us take a look at the evolution of Indian press. Nowadays, the arena of media is packed with numerous forces, each jostling for a space. But it was not so when the press originated in our country. It all started with the Bengal Gazette, which was launched in 1780 by an Irishman named James Augustus Hickey. The newspaper dealt mainly with criticizing the British administration in our country. The criticism became increasingly vehement, and finally the government decided to crack down the Gazette. Several other newspapers like Bengal Journal and Calcutta Chronicles started operation, but all had to end their publication because of the heavy censorship of the British government. Various suppression acts like the Vernacular Press Act, Newspapers or Incitement to Offence Act, and the Criminal Law Amendment Act, the 1910 Press Act, were introduced that prosecuted numerous newspapers and demanded a security fee if any content offended the government. But despite these measures, the market of the newspaper continued to grow, and even the Indian Press Emergency Powers Act, that is 1931, couldn't thwart it. After India gained independence in 1947, the press went through a period of turmoil for some years, until the Press Commission was set up in 1954 under Justice Rajadhyaksha, which recommended the formation of a council. Based on the recommendation, the Parliament set up the Press Council of India in 1966 to preserve the freedom of the press, maintain and improve the standards of the press. Press as the fourth estate of the society. Journalism has been seen as a fundamental part of the fourth estate. This is the idea that press and mass media hold other institutions to account by reporting on their activities. A necessary attribute of the fourth estate is its independence of other institutions, especially government, business and industry. Independence allows it to investigate, report on and bring to the public attention the activity of other institutions, including governments and politicians. The strength and importance of media in a democracy is well recognized. Article 19(1)(a) of the Indian Constitution. This provision provides the freedom of speech and expression, and the whole idea of media comes under the ambit of this provision. The watchdog role of the media in preventing corruption and bringing out the incidence of corruption has risen in the recent times. Coverage of exploitative malpractices by corrupted officials has helped in taking stringent actions against them by attracting the government's attention. It has immense power to influence the minds of the people. As such, it has to shoulder the responsibility of presenting what is true, advocate what is necessary, and enable the people to sift the essence from material. As an instrument of social change, economic progress, and moral development, it should uphold certain values and principles. Democracy's respect has been maintained to some extent due to the presence of the media. Media brings out the most cases of the malpractices in the system. Let us take a look at the news agencies in India. A news agency is an organization that is quite similar to reporting bureaus of media organization, where reporters collect or gather news from different walks of life. The only difference is that news agencies do not publish its own newspaper, magazine, or telecast its own news channels. They cover the news and send to different media organizations. For getting the services of news agencies, media organizations have to subscribe to it and pay some fees. Thus, a news agency is only dedicated to the gathering or collecting of news. Some news agencies provide international services also. In addition to general news agencies, several specialized services have also developed. Today, India has 4 main news agencies. Press Trust of India, that is PTI. This is the biggest news agency in India. More than 200 newspapers in India subscribe to PTI services. Besides AIR, Doordarshan, central and the state governments, commercial establishments, universities and public institutions. It has foreign correspondents in UK, USA, Moscow, Colombo and other world capitalists. United News Agency, that is UNI. This is sponsored by 8 national dailies. It has correspondents in more than 200 cities and towns and branch offices. It collaborates with foreign news agencies such as in USA, Germany, Italy, etc. It has started weekly background services, agricultural service, economic news service to cater to special needs of newspapers, periodicals and other subscribers. Hindustan Samachar. This is the first multilingual news agency of India. As early as 1948, Hindustan Samachar was set up by S.S. Apte, the first news agency as a private limited company. The objectives were to educate the masses to take part in national development and strive for national integration to the promotion of Indian languages. Its unique structural feature was that it was cooperative of those who work for the agency, which rendered it free of government interference as well as controlled by the newspaper proprietors, and supplied news to other 135 subscribers in Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, Punjabi, Urdu, Oriya, Bengali, Assamese, Telugu and Malayalam language. Samachar Bharati. It mainly serves the Indian language press. The agency named Samachar Bharati was registered under the Companies Act 1962. Several newspapers are amongst its subscribers, and the agency provides services in Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, Tamil, Kannada and Urdu language. Besides All India Radio AIR both in Delhi and at the regional centers. The other agencies. Besides these wire agencies, a large number of agencies which deliver news material and articles by hand or mail, like the old established Indian Press Agency known as INFA, that is India News and Feature Alliance, and Press Asia International and several agencies in Delhi and outside, some as we will see in Hindi, Urdu and other languages. There are also photo agencies and cartographic services. Photojournalism as well as cartoons have developed fast, and a newspaper can hardly afford to go without either. There are also agencies in the electric field for the benefit of subscribers at home and abroad. News and news values. Different scholars have given their own interpretation about the meaning of news. According to John Bogart of New York Sun, when a dog bites a man, it is not news. But if a man bites a dog, it becomes news. He pointed out that the unusual events fall under the purview of news. Similarly, William Hertz has defined news as what somebody somewhere is trying to suppress. Everything else is advertising. The well-known publisher of New York World, Joseph Pulitzer, whose name is now synonymous with a prestigious journal award, defines news as an original, distinctive, dramatic, romantic, thrilling, unique, curious, quaint, humorous, odd and apt to be talked about. News is the timely report of events, facts and opinions and interests a significant number of people. It is a new piece of information about a significant and a recent event that affects the readers or audience and is of interest to them. The following are the factors that determine, affect and influence the news value of any news story. Timeliness. If the news is not timely, it has little or no value. There is a fierce competition among newspapers to publish important events as quickly as possible. Strict watch is kept on the news events till the 11th hour, that is the deadline, when the final pages go to the printing. In case something really important happens, other stories are pushed to the back pages or dropped, and the important story is flashed on the front page. This is done keeping in view the reader's desire for information on the latest happenings. If there is any delay in the coverage of news, the reader might lose interest in the news, or the news element itself might diminish. Proximity. Human beings are inclined to know about the news events as early as possible. Things that happen at faraway places like other countries are of relatively lesser interest to people. Something happening in the locality draws more interest than something occurring in the other town or, for the matter, in another country. Eminence. If the focus of news is someone of prominence like the president or the prime minister, the interest of the reader automatically shifts to him as compared to people of little or no eminence at all. Size. Different angles to a story decides its size. This happens particularly in crime-oriented stories. The more the angles to a story, the more will be the interest of readers in it. So, at times, size also determines the news values of stories. News policies of the news organization. The spectrum of coverage that a news organization decides in accordance with the readership it wants to cater news to it is also important determinant of the news value. Human interest. People are always interested in knowing what is happening to the other people. Something that deviates the ordinary course of life is always interesting. For example, in 2006, a boy named Prince fell into a deep borewell pit, and this prompted the media to go after the story. Human interest is much in demand as far as news value is concerned. Conflict. Like creative stories, conflict plays an important role in determining news value. Conflict of any kind is news, whether it is the family squabble in personality households, agitation of Gujars in Rajasthan to be included in the list of scheduled caste, or the scourge of Naxalites in many states of India. Weather and sports. Both categories of weather and sports carry considerable news value. Monsoon arrival, cyclones, soaring or plummeting of mercury, icy chilly winds or dust storms make front page news material. Many newspapers dedicate entire page or a couple of pages to sports. Follow-up. News items carry a lot of interest for the general public when the issues are followed up and updated. Follow-up of news events keeps the interest of readers alive. Every good news story has follow-ups, as it does not end the first reference only. Let us take a look at press release. A press release, also known as press report or news release, announces something newsworthy about the business, outlining all the essential information of the story in a journalistic style. It is a primary source of information, and the organization releases its own major news through a press release. Public relations professionals write press releases and send them to the members of the media. The aim is to pique the interest of journalists or publications so that they can produce their own story out of that information. Companies usually issue press release on the following occasions, like new product launches, mergers and acquisitions of companies, product updates, events, grand openings, new partnerships that are beginning, rebranding of products or services, executive promotions or hirings, award ceremonies, surveys or study results. Every organization and PR specialist has their own way of formatting a press release based on what works best for them. So, the name and number of specific section and their order may vary from company to company. Here are the components of the press release. Write the headline. The headline should be brief, clear and to the point. An ultra-compact version of the press release key point. It must be simple, declarative sentence announcing the main message in one line. It may describe the latest achievements of an organization, a recent newsworthy event, a news product or a service. For example, XYZ company enters a strategic partnership with ABC company in Singapore and United States. Write the summary. Summary must present the essence of news to busy readers in 2 or 3 crisp sentences. Summary length must be between 100 and 500 characters, that is 15 to 35 words. Press release body. The press release body copy should be compact. Start with the date and city in which the press release originated. Add the word, that is the text or the press release point, after the date and place. The lead or first sentence should grab the readers and say concisely what is happening. The next 1 or 2 sentences then expand upon the lead, the first paragraph. 2 to 3 sentences are more than enough, must actually sum up the press release, and the further content must elaborate it. In a fast-paced world, neither the journalist nor the readers would read the entire press release if the start of the article didn't generate any interest. Deal with the actual facts, events, products, services, people, targets, goals, plans or projects. Try to provide maximum use of concrete facts. A simple method for writing an effective press release is to make a list of following things. Communicate the 5 W's, that is who, what, when, where and why, and 1 H, that is how. Then consider the following points if pertinent or required. What is the actual news? Why is this a news? The people, products, items, dates and other things related to the news should be mentioned. Also talk about the purpose behind the news, your company and the source of its news. Now, from the points gathered, try to construct paragraphs and assemble them sequentially. The headlines, starting the summary or introduction of the news. Next, the event or achievements, talking about the product or people. Again, finally ending with the concluding summary and the company. The more newsworthy you make the press release copy, the better the chances of it being selected by a journalist or reporting. Find out what newsworthy means to a given market and use it to hook the editor or reporter. Finally, include information about the company. When a journalist picks up your press release for a story, he or she would logically have to mention the company in the news article. Journalists can then get the company information from this section. The title of this section should be about XYZ company. After the title, use a paragraph or two to describe your company with 5 to 6 lines each. The text must describe your company, its core business and the business policy. Many businesses already have professionally written brochures, presentations, business plans, etc. That introductory text can be put up here. At the end of this section, point to your website. The link should be the exact and complete URL or URL without any embedding, so that even if this page is printed, the link will be printed as it is. For example, http://www.yourcompanieswebsite.com. Finally, tie it all together. Provide some extra information links that support your press release. Add contact information. If your press release is really newsworthy, journalists would surely like more information or would like to interview key people associated with it. If you are comfortable with the idea of letting your key people being directly contacted by the media, you can provide their contact details on the press release page itself. For example, in case of some innovation, you can provide the contact information of your engineering or research team for the media. Otherwise, you must provide the details of your media or PR department in the contact section. The contact details must be limited and specific only to the current press release. The contact details must include the company's official name, next the media department's official name and contact person. Next, it should include the office address. The telephone and fax number with proper country or city codes and extension numbers should be mentioned next. Mobile number can be provided optionally. Later, you can also include the email addresses and website address. Let us take a look at the do's and don'ts of a press release. Avoid questions, exclamation marks, promotional language or unrelated message in titles. The first letter of each word in the press release headline should be capitalized, as should all proper nouns. Do not capitalize connecting words like and, or, if, etc. Write the press release in body copy. The press release should be written as you want it to appear in a news story. Avoid exclamation marks, hashtags, question mark, special characters, URLs or contact information in the summary section. Avoid using very long sentences and paragraph in the body of any press release. Also, avoid repetition and overuse of fancy languages or jargons. The length of a press release should be not more than 1 page. If you do not have the dedicated team of the contact information section, you must appoint somebody who will act as a link between the media and your people. The timing of the press release is very important. It must be relevant and recent news, not too old and not too distant. Avoid jargons or specialized technical terms. If accuracy requires, the use of an industry-specific terms can define it. Now, let us take a look at the example of a press release. Here, we shall take a look at the press release for a launch. The following example features a press release written for the launch of an internship program by an organization. The Eco Defender Permaculture launches field training internship program. Now, let us take a look at this entire press release by the company. I hope you understood the importance of mass media and how to write a press release. Thank you.